there's something written in there making it very clear that it is Lot 3's responsibility to improve this, and that there is not going to be a building notification approved until the state permit and the full road spec is completed.
Yeah, that's, I mean, yeah, that certainly can be a note on the plan, and any sale of the lot refers to the plan, which by implication
Yeah.
ties anything that's on the plan to the sale, so yeah, that locks it, that would lock it in.
And that
We can certainly do that.
the improvement of this stretch of driveway to road spec needs to be done in a way that does not infringe on the ability of the people who live here to
Yeah,
get out. And if this still exists, more power to it, but if it doesn't, whoever owns this is gonna need to work around it.
Yeah, and I can chat with Bobby about how he wants to handle it in terms of the end game of the road maintenance, because it's really up to him. Right now, he owns them all, so it's up to him how he wants to set that up. And however he decides he wants to do it, we'll just make it very clear with some notations on the plan. We could even go so far as to provide some draft wording to the board as to what a maintenance agreement might look like. And well, that wouldn't, we can't record it and then give it to the board because it can't be recorded until the plan's approved and recorded. But we can at least give you a draft in a good faith, this is what we're looking at doing.
Yeah.
And that would tie into some notes that are on the plan and that sort of thing, so we can certainly give you the information as to what we're looking at, and then the board can certainly make, if the board doesn't like the wording or doesn't like something we put in there, then you can give us some suggested changes, and then we can either choose to make the changes or go back to the 3 lots, as the applicant so desires. So there's some protection from the town's end of things in that regard.
And we are gonna eliminate a non-compliant lot, the point
That's
42.
worth a lot.
Yeah, we
Because somebody
think so. Yeah, there'll be
could buy
nothing.
that and it could be a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I would just loosely encourage Bobby to either do this when he gets a chance,
Yeah.
or wait to see who buys the property and insist on doing this and adjusting the price accordingly.
He may decide to do it, he hasn't committed to me one way or another whether he wants to or not, but,
I mean, he's obviously he has.
even
lots
if
to
it's
do.
just the road, but
Yeah.
not the dredge and fill or something.
Well, I think that's the bigger concern, that doing the road, doing the dredge and fill is entirely on this person, whereas doing this heavily affects these people as well, and it would seem like it would make sense to try to.
See what he has to say about it, but it sounds like we can still at least go forward and
I think so.
keep chatting about it some more
Yeah.
through the process. And
The people who developed this back here, right, before these people, when this one goes, it's gonna trigger the road.
Yeah.
So, to me, the road is more important, like Angus was saying, than the dredge and fill. Because the dredge and fill is gonna be totally on whoever does lot 3. The road, I'm willing to listen to things about the road.
I mean,
But like if 3 is developed after these 2, it's gonna be an inconvenience.
in
the other
another
lots.
scenario that could play out is somebody buys lot 4 and says, hey, I want to do 2 lots here, and they build the road up to road standard to get to there, and
That
then
could happen.
so, that's another possible
The other side, like I
scenario.
said before, I'd prefer having a driveway going back there than a highway,
Right,
and that's what it's gonna be.
yeah, so there's a couple of ways that it could play out as far as the future, but I think my main push on it is just that the town's protected, I think, in no matter how it were to play out, once there's 3 lots using it, it will trigger the upgrades that are necessary without the select board having to remember, oh yeah, they talked about this in the planning board hearing 5 years ago, I think it's covered because of the nature of the permits that would be required when the time comes. So yeah, that's another scenario that might release lot 3 from having to be the one that would improve the road. And then
So
they-
further subdivision by a different.
Yeah,
owner.
if somebody would buy that lot for us, say, hey, there's two beautiful house sites, then they improve the road out to where it splits, and,
That scenario makes it, seems more plausible to me that this would actually get done.
yeah,
This is Grafton, remember, both from a
yeah,
cultural standpoint and a management standpoint. I give it about a 30% chance that somebody buys this lot, and after they get this, they actually do this. I'm actually like, I would be a little bit surprised if it didn't play out that someone buys this, gets this, and just forgets to make this bigger.
yeah, I guess
That's
my.
what I would.
Gets
My
that, and they
response to that is I don't.
build the dwelling, and then they find out they need a building notification. And then they're already there. So,
Yeah, I hate to make decisions based on people not following the rules.
Yeah.
Of course it happens, it happens all the time, but again, it can happen, like I said before, it can happen whether we go through all this or not. It could happen tomorrow out there with somebody just going and throwing a bunch of logs across the
You
street,
gotta
drive across, so, you know, it can happen no matter what we do.
Right, I guess the difference there is that can happen with the equivalent to this, but this is a strip of right of way that affects multiple lots.
Yeah, no, that's
And,
good.
and that's something that, if the owner of this lot were to just go take a bunch of logs and put them across here, and these two lots had a deeded right of way to it, they would actually have they have a leg to stand on saying, hey, you can't do that. Whereas this, it's kind of all, the dredge and fill remains lot 3's exclusive issue. Whereas this being shared, I agree with Steve that it's desirable to have a driveway and
Yeah,
not
rather,
a boulevard.
yeah,
And if, I don't know, I would put a fair little bit of money on this never getting approved even after these.
it's hard to say,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know, it is.
Well, I think the push came, you know, I mean, I'll throw it out to Bobby and see what his response is. He just said, well, fine, we'll just build that part of the road. I mean, as you said, he's certainly capable of doing it.
Right, it might be just that,
That's not a question.
I don't have any issue with not getting the.
Yeah, okay. I think that's probably of the two,
Yeah, that was a piece of cake.
that's the most,
This other one,
Important
and
for
I'm
us
willing to,
because-
listen to
yeah,
this a little bit further,
yeah,
because I hate to say that it's gotta be this way with a 50-foot road, but,
It's not a 50.
well, we're gonna have a
It's a
50-foot
50-foot
right
right
of
of
way
way
no
is
matter
what it
what,
is,
but the
yeah.
road itself,
yeah, the road
Yeah.
itself.
Was it gonna be 18 feet and then
18 and
shoulder?
2 foot shoulder is
instead of
the
12.
standard, and then whatever you need
Yeah.
for drainage or cuts on top of that, which in this site isn't gonna be much. Almost none.
Okay,
For 250 feet, that's not an outrageous difference.
Yeah,
If it was a
Agreed.
quarter mile, it would be like,
Yeah,
alright, like that's maybe like a long ways to.
Yep.
It's not like, it's not like there's no grapple here either. Like it doesn't have to be from Green Oaks pit.
yeah, and I don't think it's gonna be a make or break. I mean, with what we're headed towards it right now, I don't think it's gonna be make or break for Bobby on it. So my takeaway can be that we're pretty comfortable with the dredge and fill road, maybe not for the time being, and I'll bring that to Bob and see if he wants to just go ahead and upgrade it, and if not, then we'll decide whether we wanna take a stab at the floor and keep talking about it.
yeah, I'd say
or
that's
just-
fair, the dredge and fill, we all feel the same way about it, and the other one, well, we're still,
Sounds like some on and over.
yeah, we're still listening.
Yeah.
Let me put it down.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, no, that's, I'm comfortable taking that out tonight.
If this is constructed at the width that it ought to be, and gravelled at the width of a driveway, makes it much more reasonable to,
We'll get your subgrade in.
yeah, get it structurally right for the road. Don't worry about making it as thick and as
Well,
perfect.
find out, Bob, if he's building a driveway, it's gonna be built better than most of the roads in town, so there is that.
That's not exactly a joke.
Yeah,
Well, just because one thing is bad doesn't mean we should
I
do the other
know.
thing.
No, but I mean, the fact is, I've never, Bobby built, rebuilt our driveway, and it's bulletproof.
Yeah,
It's just not 18 feet wide, which which we're very happy about. But yeah, he's, yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody questions the quality of the work. If he's the one that actually does it, no one's gonna question the quality of this subgrade work and that sort of thing, so.
That, yeah.
Question as to whether if he wants to do it, then we'll, you know, if he decides he's comfortable just going ahead and doing it, then the plan we submit will show what's there, the width, and with some notes about the construction, so the board will feel comfortable that it meets the standards, or we'll just go ahead this way, and maybe, you know, if we go ahead this way and the board in the end decides not to, then it can just be a conditional approval upon building that first 250 feet down spec or something like that, so we don't have to start the process again.
I like the idea of being able to bring this to town road spec with a skid steer rather than an excavator and a big dozer. That's kind of like, that seems like a big difference as far as the likelihood of it actually getting done. Like, if these are already here and then someone tries to do this and then this has to get expanded, it's like a real dirt work site. Whereas if this is already basically built like a road but isn't gravel to full road spec, then it's just a few truckloads and spreading them. It's not like full construction. That might be a middle ground that is like, makes everybody happy.
So, all right, we'll bring it back to Bob and see what he's got to say. I think one way or another, we're gonna be coming forward with something here in the next month or two. So it's just a question of detail at this point, but I'll bring this back to him and see how he wants to approach it. And then we'll go from there.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Okay, I really appreciate the time and thought you put in it.
Sure thing.
Well, you too.
That's why we're, you know, that's why something like this coming in informally makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a lot easier than emailing or
And
calling.
don't need to surprise everybody and get everybody on the spot on either side of the table. So,
And it's nice to work with a professional that has a good reputation.
well, thank you, I appreciate it. I'll bring him next time.
Would you do that, please?
Yes, please.
You can keep whatever you want, or give me back whatever you don't want to keep. It's entirely up to you.
I mean, we can
It's just trees.
we'll keep all this stuff, right?
Well, the ambitious acres, that's yours. Bob's
Yes, I.
Well, this stuff, this is really just for the purposes of this discussion. Go on and keep one for the record, so
Sure.
you can do that, and then I can take the rest from back, so you don't forget what to do.
Sure.
If you, maybe one of the overview, sorry, or something. Just that way you've got something in your file for a few minutes and what we talked about.
Yeah. We'll keep two. That's
All
all
right.
right.
Okay.
Thank you,
cool.
Scott.
Thanks a lot for your time, I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your evening.
You too.
Other board stuff. Any,
Can I just ask, for the minutes, what is the status, how did we leave or?
Preliminary discussion. How's that?
Yes.
yeah, that Bobby will bring it to interstate highway spec or else.
Paved and
Or
everything.
else the wrath of Steve will fall upon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get that in a minute. All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Have a good one.
Take care of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if there was any formal decision, and I think that's fine, just giving
Yeah.
Scott the
Scott
sense
doesn't
of
think
what
or-
ought to be expected. I think it's dangerous to like let it go too slack, because it never actually ends up getting done.
Well, that's certainly a concern, and I've just seen too many things, project starts, and they don't go through the proper channels, and it's really more difficult to correct once it's done.
Or they run out of money and just decide to like
Yeah?
cut something somewhere.
Yeah,
and-
that's what I'm saying. But isn't it nice to have the request made for the waiver rather than something?
That's the way it ought to be, that's, yeah,
No joke.
absolutely.
Yeah, this was much better.
Uh,
That's why I like you, Scott.
Yeah, other board stuff?
I got some ex officio stuff.
Yeah, that's
Ready?
right, we're ready.
Okay, I'm going to Article 20 in the warrants, where it says to see if the town will authorize selectmen to appoint a capital improvement program committee pursuant to RSA 674:5 to prepare and amend a recommended program of municipal capital improvement projects over a period of at least 6 years. The sole purpose and effect of the capital improvements program shall be, along with the budget advisory committee, to aid the selectmen in the consideration of the annual budget. As you all know, that passed.
Yeah.
And here's the RSA.
Yep.
Anybody look at the RSA? It basically says that. It says, in a municipality where the planning board has adopted a master plan, that's us, back in 1987, still counts. The local legislative body may authorize the planning board to prepare and amend a recommended program of municipal capital improvement projects projected over a period of at least 6 years. As an alternative, the legislative body may authorize the governing body of the municipality to appoint a capital improvement program committee, which shall include at least one member of the planning board and may include one member of the planning board and may include but not limited to other members of the planning board.
So it could be
It's
multiple.
pretty generous. The budget committee or the town or city governing body to prepare and amend a recommended program of municipal capital improvement projects projected over a period of at least 6 years. The capital improvements program may encompass the major projects being currently undertaken or future projects to be undertaken with federal, state, and county and other public funds.
Can I see that?
Sure, please. So, I guess what I'm looking for, this is a planning thing. I mean, a capital improvements plan,
Mhm.
or since we don't have that, this is probably the next best thing.
Totally.
And, you know, when you see it all the time in the warrant, when we get money for these capital, funds that we have. The highways got one, and the recycling center's got one, body's got one. Everybody seems to have one. And they usually pass without much of a plan. So I think that's what's driving this, is people would like to know, hey, if we're gonna give $100,000 to the road department, what's the plan?
Right.
Oh, the plan is, we're just gonna see
just gonna
see what happens when we get it.
Damage
Now that the
control.
selectmen can act as agents, we're all set.
One thing I wanted to note, just for those who may not have absorbed this distinction, the legislative body is the voters at town meeting, the governing body is the select board.
Correct.
So that's what those two things mean, as far as making a difference.
So it looks to me like the planning board can have multiple members, and that would be nice. And it looks like the budget committee, the way that's read, the budget committee or the governing body can have a member on there. So I'm not sure. I have a feeling somebody from the budget committee is going to want to be on that. And I have a feeling somebody from the governing body is going to want to be on that too. Plus, we've had people who aren't officials at all that have expressed an interest on being part of this.
Right.
So I'm not sure how large this committee is going to be. Sometimes committees get a little unruly if they're too big. And I've seen a lot of committees come and go in my time here, and so I want this one to be successful.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I'm trying to make sense about the and or the ors here, like you're saying. It shall include at least one member of the planning board, and may include.
It means you have to have at least one.
Right. Yeah. No question, it needs at least one planning board member. I don't think the or means budget committee or select board, but
I
not
do.
both.
I do. I can tell you why too. Some towns don't have a budget committee. That would be a good reason not to have a budget committee. But the way it's worded, or means one or the other. And it doesn't say, doesn't say the governing body shall be there. But like I said, I think it's going to be a moot point, because I think both those bodies are going to be represented.
I want to respectfully debate the interpretation of this word or, because it includes, the three steps of the or are, there's three things in the or. The middle is the budget committee, the last one is the select board. But the first one is other members, plural, of the planning board. And so it can be more than one member,
Of the planning board, yes.
or more than one member of the budget committee, or more than one member of the select board. I think it can be
Let's see
interpreted
what
that
it
way.
says here. It says at least one member of the planning board and may include but not limited to other members of the planning board, comma, the budget committee, comma, or the town or city governing body.
Other members.
Let's see. It says not be limited to other members of the planning board. Yeah, and then it says the budget committee. Yes, are they talking plural?
I think it's still members of the budget committee and members of the select board. Because otherwise it would say a member of the budget committee and a member of the select, or a member of the select board.
Perhaps.
I think it's loose is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
The warrant article just allows a committee and members to be appointed by the select board. It doesn't mandate anything else.
It only says that it's pursuant to RSA 674:5. So when you read 674:5, it says, if you don't have a, I'm going to paraphrase it, you don't have a capital improvement committee or whatever you call it, the governing body may authorize to appoint a capital improvement program committee, which is what this will be.
We voted at time, the voters voted to let the select board appoint people.
Right.
Yeah,
Right, to this committee.
yeah.
You
So
know.
will they accept nominations, or do they decide on their own?
Well, I'm sure that they'll accept nominations and then decide on their own. I think that's the way it's gonna work, but like, if a planning board member, I'm sure the entire planning board doesn't wanna be on this. So whoever wants to volunteer, I'm sure that, the selectmen are going to take who's interested in and appoint. How many people who are going to be on the committee that are not elected officials? I don't know. That's up in the air. And like I said, we've had people say that, we're interested.
I mean, I like the idea of having non-appointed, or people in official capacity being on it as well would be, I think, beneficial.
Yeah, I think that's very beneficial to have people who, are sitting on a board actually be on it,
Yeah.
rather than, an entirely appointed board.
Is there implied term, like if somebody were to say they were interested in serving this, it's going to be a lifetime commitment?
Yes, you'll be on for life. We have balls and chains.
I mean, the plan is for 6+ years, so.
Yeah, it's 6 years. That's a good question. I would assume it'll be a year by year thing. Once.
That's much more doable.
Yes.
Yeah. It's,
So I would say that I could very well be interested in making a 1-year commitment to participate in this process. Not to put anybody on the spot, but it would be really nice if Paul were somehow involved, since he's much more of an expert than I am.
Is that a hint, hint?
Nudge, nudge.
I mean, he is on the board, right?
I don't think you necessarily count as a member of the planning board because you were not elected.
But he could be
But no.
one of the
Oh,
You
that's
could be-
right.
outsider position that possibly could come
Yes,
in.
definitely.
Because I'm also interested in this program.
Okay.
Wow.
You have experience with
I've
capital.
done capital improvement.
Okay.
He does, okay.
I would love to see you be the member and you be another member.
You'd be valuable. I get very valuable on the board, as you all would be. Your input would be
I mean, you,
really appreciated, especially coming from the planning board, where all planning in the town is supposed to
what if
start.
what if the people who have school-age children are not on this committee?
Yeah.
Everybody else is.
I don't know, Hunter's kind of
Who would I carpool with?
questionable.
This question was
I'm fine either way on it. Mostly, I was making an interest so that I could nudge Paul, you know.
I'm willing.
It's completely
Okay,
his
well, that's
decision,
good to,
but-
that's good to know that you're open to.
Okay, I'll put your names in.
The more
all three of
interdepartmental participation, the better in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I've got two. Sabrina and Paul. Who else?
Alice one.
Yeah.
Alice. Okay, that's three. That's great.
I mean, you start.
I mean, that would,
That's-
that would
sounds
seem
really
to,
good.
You can report back to us.
yeah, there'll always be like, how
And-
many
and-
workers in there?
Angus, you're off the hook.
Thanks.
Well, you took the chairmanship. That's burden enough.
Right.
Yes, we appreciate that.
And basically, that's my ex officio report.
Well, that's exciting. We're moving in the right direction, I feel like.
Right, now that the select board has the capacity to spend money, which I think is a good thing.
You know, there's a couple things about those articles that ask to have the selectmen act as agents.
Yeah.
One of them, the bridge fund, we were already agents, so I don't know why that was on the ballot, because if it got turned down, we would have been up the creek.
Yeah, whoops.
Yeah,
Well, we're already
and
doing it.
I actually expected all of them to fail, because that's usually what happens. We don't want the selectmen to do that. So let's get their hands and tie them behind their backs and then complain.
Yeah, then nothing's getting done.
Alright,
Thanks for stepping up, Paul. Sorry, I just wanted.
this is a good start to the year.
Yeah,
Like, we got to give a surveyor checks and balances. We get to have civil discussion.
And we got to look
Get
at
people
it.
involved.
It's a little different, yeah.
yeah, that was a nice meeting. We had a pretty straightforward subdivision. That was easy. And then we
That's
had,
all it's like.
we had a complicated
Yeah.
one, which we have to make a decision on, you know, so, and that's not always easy to do, and I'm glad we didn't have to make one on the spot, because I always end up regretting those. At some point I tend to, so I'm glad that we can think about it,
Yeah,
Well-
it'll be good to see what Bobby comes back with,
you know.
what he's willing to do, I guess.
I mean, the other thing which I think is really cool is that we, as far as I can tell, right now have a board where we could like vote in different ways and not hold any animosity towards one another.
I'd say
I think that's
the
pretty
case,
good.
and that's the way it's supposed to go, isn't it?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might find that hard to believe, but yeah, that is true.
3 years in, I'm starting to see it as a possibility.
Alright, anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Paul, what's up?
Oh, sorry, one question relating to the articles. I don't know how, what was the disposition of the parsonage house?
It did pass.
It
It
passed.
passed.
Yeah.
It passed.
To be sold.
To be
It-
sold,
it-
well,
Okay.
It it's a very complicated
it's got a lot of moving
article,
parts. Yeah.
and it's got a lot of moving parts on it, but it did pass. So if Andrew accomplishes